Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's Eric with Sprucehill Homes here with a special installment. Doors. What are they? How many different types they are? We're going to dig into that and really unpack all of the nuance that there is to describe doors. So let's start with our typical door, which is a swing door, right? That is the door that you probably have at your front door. For this particular moment in time, we're just going to talk about maybe your bedroom door. If you're standing at the door and the door, when you open it, is going to swing away from you, that's first off how we're going to describe what that door is all about. All right. If the hinges are on the left-hand side, that's a left-hand swing door. If the hinges are on the right and you open the door towards yourself, same deal, still a left-hand swing door. I know it's a little bit confusing, but the way that we always want to talk about and describe doors is the idea of walking through the door or pushing the door open. And really, there's not much more than that. Yeah, pushing the door open is how we're going to describe the swing. So hinges on the left-hand swing, hinges on the right-hand swing. Now, we can get several different lock sets or lever sets for an interior door. We can get a passage, which is just your typical bedroom or office door where, you know, you don't necessarily need it to lock. You can get a locking door, which has got like a push button or maybe like a little turny knobby thing to lock it. And then you can also get a keyed lock, which, you know, if you have something that is a little bit more secure and you don't want anybody to be able to get in, then you get a keyed lock for your interior door. You can also get what we call a dummy lever, and that is what we would maybe use on a closet or something like that, because we don't need the latching mechanism. You know, we might use a mag catch or something like that, or a ball catch to keep the closet door closed, but we still need to be able to open and close it, right? And so a dummy handle or dummy lever is what we would use to do that. So that is swing doors. The other thing that we should talk about when it comes to doors is also sizing. Interior doors, typical dimensions are every 2 inches from 24 to 36, and then it's a little bit hit or miss. I mean, truthfully, it's not even that. It's more like 24, 30, 32, and 36 are generally, you know, not super challenging to come across. The other dimensions can be a little bit tougher for sure. And then on a height perspective, there's 6'8", which is your typical standard door height. You can also upgrade to a 7-foot tall door, and you can also take it a step further. Like if you have 9 or 10-foot ceilings, you definitely want to consider going to an 8-foot tall interior door. It will look amazing. Trust me. All right. Moving along to sliding doors or barn doors. These guys have that, you know, track that's mounted on the outside of the wall, and the door slides back and forth. Sliding door, barn door, same idea. Some sort of exposed track that you can see. You know, they're going to be used more for creating visual privacy. They definitely aren't going to do a great job of reducing or eliminating any sort of noise whatsoever. The next, my nemesis, the pocket door. That is the door that sits inside of the wall, right? It's got a frame that is built into your wall, and then in the middle of the wall, there's a track above that the door hangs off of, and it slides in and out of the wall. I really don't like those doors. I mean, they definitely serve a purpose in some applications for sure. But if I can avoid installing a pocket door, I do so at all costs. Why? Why, might you ask? Pocket doors are notorious for coming out of adjustment, for being noisy to operate, and they really don't do much for noise damping, right? Like they don't stop sound from transferring from the room to the other, from one room to the other. So there's more downsides and upsides with pocket doors. I really don't like pocket doors. But you know what? I mean, is what it is. Next kind of sort of door I want to talk about are bifold doors, right? So those are the ones where it's 2 panels and there's a hinge in the middle. And, you know, that's kind of what you're probably used to seeing in a bedroom closet. And the reason why those ones are specified is A, they are cheap and very inexpensive generally, but they also save a ton of space, right? They fold in half as they open. So you don't have to have as much space in front of the door when you're opening it. So bifold doors can be really, really useful in the right application. So, you know, not always the sexiest, definitely for sure about that, but definitely they serve a purpose, and there's definitely a time and a place for that. The other thing, just talking about doors that kind of split in half, is a double swing door. And that is just two swing doors that are all within the same jamb or frame, and they open and close and meet in the middle. And double swing door, all of the same sort of handle options. You do have to talk about which door is the active and or passive door. The active door would be the door that you are walking through most frequently. The passive door is the one that is likely going to stay closed most of the time. Let's talk about French doors. French doors are any doors that are two doors and they have glass in them. So you can find a French door on the inside of your home or on the outside of your home. They are going to be two doors. They're going to open, whoops, now you can see me this way, and there's glass in the middle of them. That is a French door. Basically, it's a double door with glass, and there is a French door. They are an absolute lovely feature to have architecturally on the outside of your home in terms of the kind of sort of craftsman appeal that they bring to the home. Where they are problematic and can be somewhat annoying is you have to accommodate for where the door is going to swing to. That can, depending on how frequently you're using those doors or whatever else, that can hinder where you have furniture going inside or outside of your home, because you have to leave space for the door to swing open. But aesthetically, they are a beautiful, beautiful option. French doors, mwah, beautiful. Now, accordion door. I haven't seen one of those in a minute, but that's just a door that folds up like an accordion. Now, I mean, we're talking interior doors. There are like a folding door that we use for exteriors, like the Nano Wall or Eclipse door system. I mean, they're beautiful, absolutely stunning items, but that's not an accordion door. An accordion door is like kind of like, one of those fans that you spread out and you keep yourself cool with, except for a doorway. Really haven't seen many of those at all these days, but they do exist. The next door that we have is a pivot door, right? And a pivot door is typically going to be, well, it's almost always going to be a front door, and it's going to be a really, really big oversized door. And the reason why it needs to be a pivot door is because there's just no hinge strong enough to let a door of that size swing open. So, generally speaking, when our doors get over 4 feet in width, that's when it becomes very, very challenging to have hinges that are going to support the weight of that door. And that's when you're going to start going to some form of pivot door. And all that means is, like, rather than having hinges on one side or the other, there's a pivot point, generally about a foot in from one side of the door. And that pivot site is where the door pivots on as it opens. So you kind of have like a larger opening on one side of the door and a smaller opening on the other side of the door. You're obviously not going to fit through the smaller opening unless you are really skinny, but you're definitely going to fit through the larger opening. No doubt about it. And I mean, they are just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces of craftsmanship. I mean, pivot doors are incredible. Absolutely awesome. A Dutch door. I haven't seen a Dutch door in a minute, but you know what? I know a lot of people love them, and unfortunately, they don't meet NAFs for exterior doors anymore, which is why we don't see them so much anymore. But a Dutch door is that door that I'm pretty sure I'm dating myself now, but we had a door to the back patio or something like that, and there was a lower panel that you could keep closed, and there was a top panel that you could open up, and that way mom or dad could yell at you for doing something wrong through the top part of the door and maybe keep the dog or your sibling inside the house so that they couldn't crawl out or something like that. So yeah, I mean, I haven't seen Dutch doors in a minute, but I mean, they are a lot of fun. Problem is they're not very airtight. Exterior doors come in a multitude of different finishes and different products, right? So you can get a solid wood door, which is going to be your most expensive option. And I think it's also important to note that it is going to be the most natural looking, right? Don't ever think that you can buy a wood door and have things look consistent and the same. Like, it's wood. Wood is not consistent and the same. So don't expect a wood door to be consistent and the same. Your next choice would maybe be fiberglass or something like that. And believe it or not, there are actually some fiberglass options that can be stained and painted to look shockingly similar to a wood door. So don't turn your nose up at a fiberglass door. There are ways to finish those bad boys that actually are incredibly beautiful, and it's a really good long-lasting door, right? I would suggest that if you have a door, like a front door, an exterior door that's facing due south or due west, you might want to reconsider specifying wood. It just gets too hot, right? And that sun just pounds on the wood, and so you might really want to consider some sort of aluminum clad or fiberglass door, so that you're not having to worry as much about the elements. So of course that takes us to our next door, which is a metal door, and that can be a wood door that's clad in metal. It could also be something that's got like insulation inside of it and it's metal clad. We see these a lot in garage doors or garage man doors. That's pretty much all you really want to know about what those different doors for the exterior are. Now, flipping back to interior, right? Interior doors, you can get a hollow core door, and that's for all of them, right? For a pocket door, for a swing door, for a bifold door. What we didn't have in our interior door list that I'm just thinking about right now is a bypass door. And the bypass door is the one where you've got two tracks and the doors can one goes in front of the other, right? Now, one of the real challenges with a bypass door, any closet organizer that you put inside of there, you need to be thinking about how that's going to work, because you're always going to have a door in the way, as opposed to if you have a double swing door, or if you have a bifold door or a double bifold door. With those door options, everything gets out of the way. So now you can put, your drawers and that sort of thing in the middle of the closet. Whereas if you do a bypass door system, you're going to need to put drawers and that sort of thing to one side or the other, because you've got to bear in mind that there's always going to be some form of door in your closet opening, right? Let's get into some really fancy doors, and we're going to just stick to interior for the second. Flush doors. If you want something that looks sleek, clean, beautiful, a flush door is an amazing choice, and we have a project that we're working on right now that is using those extensively. They are not inexpensive by any stretch of the imagination, and they require a ton of work to get them installed correctly, but they are beautiful, and they are so clean and so beautiful. The one downside to a flush door is they only open to a maximum of about 89 degrees. All right. A typical swing door can open maybe not 180 degrees, but like surely like 170, 175. Like it can almost open the whole way against the wall, right? You can imagine opening a door where there's not a wall right there, and you can open it the whole way. It'll go almost the whole way around. Flush door, that's not a possibility, because when the door opens, it binds against the inside wall. So just remember that if you're doing a flush door, you're only going to get about 89 degrees of opening with those bad boys. You are not going to get a full 90, and you sure as heck aren't going to go past 90 degrees. So just remember that with your flush doors. But oh my God, are they beautiful. So beautiful. Other thing for us to consider about when we were talking about our interior doors is the style. You can get a single panel shaker. You can get a 2-panel shaker. You can get a 3-panel, 4-panel, 5-panel shaker. You can get a panel door where it's got 4 panels. You can get 6 panels, and that's where you're like, the inside is kind of raised up. Probably the most common door we install is a 2-panel shaker. We see a decent amount of single panel shakers. We really don't see a lot of clients going with a panel door these days. I mean, I know I use them. Yeah, I had to check. I use them at our house, and that's the style my wife and I really prefer and enjoy, like a more craftsman feel to our home. So we've got, panel doors, we've got detailed casing and architraves and crown molding, and we'll do another video about what those things are another day. But for today, we're just talking about doors and door styles. So yeah, I mean, there's just a multitude of different door styles you can get. Now, the next thing when we're talking about exterior doors are putting any glass. And I guess, I mean, honestly, you could talk about this for interior and exterior. We don't put a lot of glass on our interior doors, but I mean, we have done it enough times. Like, yeah, I mean, we've done it enough times. So a full light door, when somebody calls it a full light door, what they're saying is the entire inside of the door is going to be glass. Now you can get it frosted, you can get some sort of funky design on it, whatever you want. You could also get it clear, but you're going to have, 4.5, 5 inches on the sides and the top. And then you'll have, 8 to 9 inches across the bottom. It varies, but that would be a full light door. Half light, half the window. And then of course there's a quarter light, which is just, a smaller window in the upper portion. And if we're talking about front doors, you could get a side light. And when we talk about side lights, that's just a window to the left of our door, or left or right. A left side light is a side light to the left door. Now, if you want full light, that's again window from top to bottom. If you want half, quarter, same deal. I think, you can absolutely choose to do whatever you want. I definitely, for front doors, I love a quarter light version of some sort, just so that you can kind of sort of see who's at the door and you can still have some privacy, right? As soon as we go to like a half light or a full light, well, now you really don't have any privacy inside of the home. And even if it's frosted, people can still kind of sort of see in, but obviously, a lot of the detail is removed when you go frosting. So that's my door tutorial for you. If you have any comments about how I can improve this video, I sure would love to hear from it. If you have other tutorials or educational videos you would like me to make for you, I would be thrilled to do it. So drop me a comment below. Please, 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 would really appreciate it if you would like this video and certainly subscribe to our channel. I sure would be grateful. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching and stay awesome. Bye now.